So I got those four.
Good morning, Miami. It's January 13th. I'm Dave McGar, the host of Property Value. We come on 8 a.m. every day on our live stream, LinkedIn, Facebook. Where else is it going? YouTube, to bring you commercial real estate news focused on South Florida. Let me bring up my co-host here. Did we bring you in?
Not yet.
Not yet.
There I am.
Oh, there he is.
Good morning,
What's up,
everybody.
man? Christian Lalong.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just ready to start the day, and just doing my thing.
Yeah.
It's
2 weeks into being a commercial real estate appraiser, fresh out of FIU, Florida University International, doing his thing, learning about the market. I'm sure you've learned a lot in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely learned a lot, especially shadowing you and just seeing how you operate and just like seeing your knowledge and just absorbing that along with Ralph and as well Austin. Just definitely, if you were to ask me 2 weeks ago, I feel like I'm a lot more confident, especially in what I'm talking about now than compared to last week.
Yeah, you've been thrown in. You've been reading articles. We've been every day discussing the, not only just Miami, but Broward County, Palm Beach County. And, it's awesome.
Even the Keys a little.
And the Keys. That's what we're working on right now. A couple projects down there for the Boy Scouts of America. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? You enjoying it too much? A lot? It's a lot.
It's okay. So I would say definitely had to rework my timing, right? But
sure.
that just comes with everything.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it a lot. It's definitely something an environment that I'm just really kind of thriving in. I've always liked data collection, things like that. Even in school, like taking stats, just seeing data and how everything can come out. I think it's really fascinating. So to be able to apply all that into something that I like and actually make money off of it, it's really cool to me.
Yeah, establish a career, build something, see where it's going, see where it's at. I mean, you got me, then you got Ralph that's been in for 30 years, so you can kind of see the different steps to it, whatever. But yeah, man, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of commitment. It's very long hours.
Yeah.
But it's cool, man. It's real estate. You know what I mean? And it's Miami. Everything's growing and moving and shaking, and we're here to report on it. So what's going on with the 10-year? It's, we like to report the 10-year maybe twice a week. And just to see if there's any trend up, down, if the feds are coming out and saying anything, or are we, staying stable? Where we at?
So it's still at 1.7. I think the last time I talked about it was like at 1.76. Now it's at 1.74. Went down a little bit. I'm pretty sure we're going to see it fluctuate up and down the whole day today. Wall Street Journal reports that they expect it to end between 1.737 and 1.762. That's what they're expecting it.
Cool, man. So I'm going to jump into all week. I went through multifamily on Monday, office yesterday on Wednesday, industrial on Tuesday, and now it's Thursday. I'm just going to rattle off some data points for retail. And this is the average of retail across Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties. And there's 329 million square foot developed. Under construction, 4.3, which I remember, I think yesterday office was at 4.1. So it seems like office and retail are correlated with how much is under construction. Now, the 12-year, the year over year shows that, 12-month net, I should just read it, 12-month net absorption square foot, 4.2 million. So we got 4.3 in the pipeline. We got a 4.2 million forecast to be absorbed. That's up 5,000%.
Oh my God.
over the 12 month year over year, it's up 5,000%. Vacancy rate very robust, 4% across South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Market rent per square foot, triple net, $34. Now, mind you, this is the average of all classes,
Mm-hmm.
so this can go up. We all know that us here in Miami, and you go to South Beach and Lincoln Road and Sunset Harbor, those are up $100 a square foot.
Yeah.
So here we're looking at the average. Should have brought a little display up there for the people.
See that 5,000 uptick.
Here's that 34. We're up 6% compared to the highest year-over-year rental growth is multifamily and industrial, followed by, I guess, retail, and last was office. I think office was only 5%, right?
For
Market sale price per square foot, $335, up 6% year over year. And we're hovering at a 5.8 cap rate.
Mhm.
So far, it seems that multifamily and industrial are trending with the lowest yield, followed by retail at 5.8, and then office was like 6.5. And mind you, this is an average over all classes. So don't take this as, if you sell class A out there, don't go, that's wrong. That could be real low. And I'm like, and I agree with you.
David, it sounds like you got an email about that.
No, but I know if I listen to it, and if you're working on something, you think like, because I do, I think like, I see that 5.8 right there for retail. And, there's a lot of triple net assets that yield less. Right. And, but that's, we're talking about average,
right?
Average. So if someone comes to you and says, hey man, I got a great deal. I got a retail, strip center. It's got a 10 cap on it. You should know right away. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
That's either in a gang related area, just a high risk.
In Overtown.
No occupancy. Crazy, man. Overtown's fucking a lot of developers in there. I wouldn't say. I guarantee you Overtown is getting 6.5 cap rate. So I just wanted to see the 3 or the 5 year rental growth. Here's annual rental growth, 5 year. The average is 3.6.
Okay.
See, we're at 6.6 year over year. And then last year, 2020, 1.3 during COVID. So it fell off. We're double the 5 year average at 6.6. So retail is trending upwards. That's great to know. And again, we're in South Florida where we've been open for months. And thank God for where we live and who governs us. So, all right. So that's that. What are you looking at? What's your first article?
Right.
Share with the people today.
So before I actually lead into the articles, I wanted to bring up this prime rates for mortgages that I was looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this week by the Wall Street Journal's prime rates, it's at 3.25, while the federal discount rate is at 0.25. And that goes as well with the federal fund rate, which is 0.25, and the 11th district cost fund, which is at 0.22. So I just wanted to mention that.
So the prime rate was what though? You got it. That's the
right. So that's
the fund rate is what the banks borrow money at,
Mhm.
and then they lend it back out. So they're lending it at this. What is the number?
3.25.
3.25, and that's just for your typical 20, 30 year amortized residential single family under 4 unit loan.
Right. So this, just very stereotypical best account savings. The best and saving accounts rates are a little bit higher.
Don't even talk about savings.
Oh, well, okay.
All they're doing is you're putting your money in the bank and they're lending it out.
Yeah.
And they're lending it out 3.5.
Yeah, it's just a very, very stereotypical things that you could think of when you think of a mortgage rate.
20, 30 year amortized. Sure. All right, man. You got an article? You want me to jump into something, or are you ready?
I got one here. So this is by Globe Street. So Globe Street is talking about what to do with office properties amid a work revolution. This is a pretty, Pretty interesting topic, especially because what we were seeing with, I believe it was a 10% vacancy rate in office, or no,
Yes,
higher.
10, 10. It was
10,
like,
right?
yeah, it's slightly above 10, but yeah, I could say 10.
Yeah, so this is something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of people needing to address nationwide. There's more of a nationwide article, and it's private real estate lender Trez Capital last month announced its close on a $337 million construction loan project in Cincinnati, Trinity Square Holding, using the money to develop 2 office buildings. But it's what they're doing with those 2 office buildings that has me interested. Where what they're doing is the properties that are unlikely to hear the pip-out of busy employees' feet will need another purpose, and we're seeing the flex office being modified as fully air-conditioned and industrial distribution space for the last mile delivery services, providing the ceiling height works for the tenant. We are also seeing many developers express interest in conversions of the office to residential. There is instances available for these developers if they want to work with government entities. So I think that's just something really, really interesting, that it ultimately is up to the building owner and developer, and as well the zoning, and allowing it to happen. Say, for instance, that we're talking about an office building built in 1950s, Class B or Class C office space for in Madison Avenue. This is in New York.
Is that
Um,
where this is happening? Is that where they're reporting from?
Right. Yeah. So this is in Cincinnati and in New York as well. So this is not just, in one
'Cause you got
city
to think
specific.
like, well, you got to think those are, let's just say New York. I don't know Cincinnati.
Mhm.
So let's go New York. Manhattan. Those office buildings are big.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're big buildings. I'm sure they have way less bathrooms and
Mhm.
kitchens, kitchenettes, what have you. But I would imagine that it's easier. I don't know, man. It's interesting. While I hear you read it, I think about repositioning, how they do that, and how much money it takes to.
Right. So actually, the next, because you like you were talking about, density, New York's population density, and ignoring depth constraints on the building, the highest and best use for that property is probably a residential conversion, which means a gut renovation. Like you were saying, a lot of those things have old kitchenettes, or
They don't have kitchenettes.
or
If
or
your office
at
building,
all.
look where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's one set of bathrooms
Yep.
for the whole floor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you think how many? I don't know how big this floor plan is, but
Mhm.
you could put a lot of apartments on here,
Mm-hmm.
and every apartment needs their own bathroom, either 1 or 2 bathrooms
At
right?
minimum.
Yeah, at
Yep.
minimum, depending on how many rooms,
Mm-hmm.
and then plus a kitchen. So it's a lot of plumbing.
Yep. One is not turning an office. One is not turning an office building at Madison Avenue into a retail shopping center or distribution center. So they're looking at these older buildings, and they're seeing how they can pretty much modify them from the inside. And I think that's super interesting, especially as we
Alapata.
with Alapata, but as well, like we were talking about in South Florida, we're having pretty much a housing issue where so many people are trying to come in, but we can't accommodate for it. So maybe if we start looking at these old industrial buildings and then reconvert them,
Well, that's Wynwood.
right?
But they're not. They're not. That's the whole thing, is that they're not repositioning the industrial building. They're tearing it down and building new, right?
Mhm.
So, but this is talking about repositioning full gut,
Yeah.
which is really cool. That'd be like taking a building right here downtown somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and doing it.
Or like, if let's say there's not a lot of people returning to work, right? And that would actually kind of lead into my next article by the Wall Street Journal. And with that, it was just to kind of like
Pull it up.
give a little tease. Oh, I was going to tease the viewers about it. So the next article is surging COVID-19 puts an end to projected return to office dates. So this is talking about how companies are constantly saying, oh, we're going to have everyone back in by, let's say, December, right? Or we're going to have everybody back in by early 2022. This article is talking about saying how those projections are probably going to be very difficult. And it's not why you may think. A lot of people are probably thinking, oh, COVID immediately. But it's actually a mindset issue because so many people
Is
have
it
been.
therapist, Chris?
Yes, it is.
A mindset issue.
I actually graduated from LMU, the Long Medical University.
Mhm.
So an average of only 28% of the workforce last week returned into the office in 10 major cities. A nationwide security company that compares with more than 40% in the first week of December.
But do they say what cities?
Unfortunately, no. But if I had to take a guess, the 10 major cities, Miami is included in that because we're one of the highest population densities in the United States. I think we're like top
Are you
15.
sure? Are
Yeah.
you pulling that
No.
statistic out of here? out of the air.
No.
I just wonder if that's a compound number. So they said 48% went back to work in December, 20 something went back to work in January. So
40% went back in December, 28 went back last week.
Right. So that sounds
Mhm.
like we got 60% or more that are back in the office.
Right. So this is coming. So the reason why I'm saying that this is more
That's
of a
from
mindset.
Wall Street Journal. So
Yes, sir.
probably that's national.
Yeah.
I imagine.
The reason why I'm saying it's more of a mindset issue is because this is coming from Catherine Wild, chief executive of the partnership in New York City, a business group. And it's the longer that people have worked, the harder it will be to get them back in the office. And one flexible, hold on, I had a really good.
You know why? Because it goes
Here we
back
go.
to exactly what you said when you were like, oh yeah, I've got a new career here. I'm still in school and I haven't graduated yet, and I'm trying to juggle my time. When you work remotely, you do that again. You create a different schedule for yourself where people don't want to break that, get back in their car and transport, and then try to figure out their whole new schedule. Some people don't want to wear the professional attire again. So yeah, interesting. Go ahead.
So this is it's no longer we got a virus or we don't have a virus. They're shifting their mindsets to say we're going to create a set of conditions, and those set of conditions will determine how many people are allowed in the office at any point of time. About 1/3 of companies responded to Gartner's survey in the late December said they were either sending workers home, delaying reopenings, or reducing the number of employees in their offices. So that's pretty much the main thing is at this point, it's more of people like working at home. People don't want to return in the office. Why would you want to, do a 40-hour commute when you can just wake up, roll over, and log in?
Well, I mean, depends. If people have the ability and the flexibility for their job to work at home, or their company says, you got to be at your desk. We're doing board meetings. We have, we want to see you in person. We want to see you working here, which some companies do, especially a lot of banks. Seems like financial institutes.
Yeah,
they're asking their employees to come in.
It's funny that you mentioned that because even big banks have the most. This is coming back from the article. I'm quoting the article here. Even big banks have the most aggressive in returning their workers sent their workers home after the holidays. Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated, which reopened its offices and employees in June after the holidays, encouraged them to stay home at least until January 18th. And Wells Fargo delayed their return dates in September and October that has been planned for Monday, but canceled them as well. The company in December said that it would announce new plans in the new year.
Yeah, I think these companies are trying to battle with the Omicron, and then they went through. It was like November, right? So the holidays, trying to give their people a really hard year, tough, busy year in many industries, and give them that little flexibility over the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, January, Omicron, trying to still balance that and get people back in the office.
It's super, super difficult, and I'm really kind of curious as to how a lot of companies are going to respond to it because, as we're seeing, it's a lot of, okay, here we come. Okay, well, we'll push it back. And then a lot of people are going to be like, well, are we ever going to go back into the office? And then those office spaces that are left vacant could potentially be reconverted into residential. They're not making enough money.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead of yourself, man. You're jumping ahead of yourself. All right, so let's pivot. I got this. I wish I knew how to make this bigger.
I think it's Control Plus, and that should there you go.
There you go. Okay, so Transcendent Electra picks up 3,500 rental homes in a $1.25 billion deal. That's huge, man. Private equity firm Transcendent Electra announced Wednesday that it'll be adding about 3,500 single-family homes and townhouses to its existing portfolio of rental homes in a $1.25 billion acquisition. The properties are new builds from an undisclosed corporate seller. Undisclosed. I think what's cool is, as I strolled through here, Says our goal is to put another 9,000 units into the pipeline this year. That's another 2 billion plus that we're looking to invest. That would take us to around 14,000 units.
Wow.
Yeah. I liked that they said, all right, here it says, Kavana said that build to rent is attractive for several reasons. It's getting tougher to find available inventory for home builders, so it ensures a pipeline of product. And because the industry has matured from a scattered single family model to a concentrated community model, built to rent is essential. Horizontal multifamily. I've never heard that term before.
Horizontal.
Yeah, because it's vertical. It's usually vertical density, go up,
Mhm.
right? But this says horizontal multifamily, he said, which attracts investors who are comfortable with multifamily model because everyone's chasing that multifamily yield, that
Mhm.
multifamily model, like he says. So this is like a pivot. This is like thinking outside the box, like, oh, horizontal multifamily. So Transit Electra's investors include high net worth individuals and family offices, as well as institutional investors. When you say, hey, we're essentially doing multifamily horizontally, all of a sudden the cost of capital and the abundance of capital opened up. And that's really what we've seen happen in the last 2.5 years. Said tenants in single family rental space benefit from more square footage and typically higher room counts, which makes them stay longer. Says we capture 5, 6, 7 years of life cycle with that tenant as opposed to 2 or 3 years when they are nowhere to go. What does it say? When they have nowhere to go after they move into multifamily. It's really cool, man, because the new builds are valued at 175,000 is the floor. Ceiling seems to be 300,000. So it's at that, even though South Florida had that, I think Ralph read it last week, that South Florida was at an average median house.
It's like 300 and something.
No,
Right?
it's at 500.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit higher.
Yeah. So this is, and obviously this really doesn't come into play here in South Florida because this is new builds. You need the land, and we're constrained by water on all sides down here in Florida. That this is a hard one for Florida, but let's see. As for the new build properties announced Wednesday, a first phase will consist of approximately 1,400 new homes and communities in Tampa. Okay, there you go, Florida, Atlanta, Athens, Georgia, Pinehurst, North Carolina, valued together at approximately $500 million. Another 2,000 homes will follow in Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. So it's all the Sun Belt together worth $750 million. The portfolio is expected to be completed by the end of this year. The new builds are valued at $175,000 each to $300,000 for the ceiling apiece. Rents will average $1,500 to $2,800 per month. So it's really filling that pocket of, look at that rent, $1,500 to $2,800. That's kind of like, that's on the lower end of Class A in Florida. But I'm really surprised reading that these builds are happening. Well, I'm not surprised that they're building in the Sun Belt because Georgia has a lot of room, Texas has a lot of room, and I guess Florida has more room in Tampa. It's saying Tampa, and doesn't just says Florida again, but I guess up in that Orlando area where it's sprawling, the neighborhoods outside of Orlando. So I never heard of horizontal multifamily. I thought it was cool to talk about.
No, man, that's really, really interesting because, as I mentioned, it's going to be a lot more long space. A lot more long space. But I'm curious about how much vertical height there's going to be. If you're like 6'8", right? How comfortably are you going to live in that? But
no, bro, what are you talking about, dude? You're way off. We're talking about a house, man.
Yeah, it's a multi-family, a horizontal unit. So is it not like?
No, it's houses, single family houses, man. It's right here. Look, single family houses, like what you live in.
Right.
Your big family of 5. That's what it is.
That's a small
Basically,
Hispanic
what they're
family.
saying, basically what they're saying is horizontal because the units
Mm-hmm.
are going horizontal
Yeah.
instead of dense and vertical,
Okay.
right? But they're able to, like, you know, the Class A big investors, institutional players, capital, that those guys that are going out and buying portfolios or one property deals are looking at 350 and up. So they want to buy, like, at one shot, they want to buy like 350 to 1,000 units.
Yeah.
Right. And that's with their crowdfunding, equity partners, LPs, funds,
Right.
fund managers, all that stuff. Right. That all exists on that up there, 350 to 1,000 units. That's what they're talking about. So they're providing this to these same potential capital that's chasing the other multifamily, where most people thought multifamily, okay, well, if you're doing garden style suburbia, which can be Class A as well, that's with the really nice amenities and pools and spatial stuff, or you're talking about Wynwood, where you're going up 5, 6, 7, 8 floors, right? That's the more dense stuff and vertical. But no, this is one story, or maybe some 2 stories, you know what I mean? But it's a single family house that they're saying that they can actually reduce turnover to, if they get a family in there that'll stay for 3 to 5 years, compared to a tenant in a multifamily building that's going to stay for 1 to 2 years.
Right.
So they reduce the turnover, longevity of the tenant, increased rents, and then they also can put that big debt on here. So they found a loophole, man. I guess, this is a big player. I mean, you see the headline. Let me show that headline again. $1.25 billion deal.
That's the 3rd time this week we hear that B.
The B's, right, being thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, like, it's incredible, man. It's cool though, man. Now I have this other. Says owning is more affordable than renting.
Yeah, I believe it.
So we just looked at, now with renting, with renting comes the investment, right?
Yep.
With owning is more of a individual, old school, move to America, buy a house,
White picket fence,
have a family, have a career, stuff like that, right? It's a different mindset, right? The big investment, that horizontal multifamily, is a whole other animal. This says the housing market is still soaring, but a new report outlines a promising indicator for those looking to buy amid record high home prices. It's still more affordable to own a home than to rent in a majority of the United States. That's a 2020 rental affordability report, which analyzed the differences between medium-priced home and 3-bedroom rental in 1,100 counties across the country. The analysis found home ownership to be more affordable in 58% of studied counties. It says the study compares expenses for both living options with local average wages. So that would be your income, your rent income, right? Or your ability to, your mortgaged income. Concluding that while prices for homes are skyrocketing, wages are rising and mortgage rates remain low. You went over the prime rate today, 3.5, which is, it's been lower, but like I said, in the 80s, 90s, north of 10%. People wouldn't know what to do if it was north of 10%.
I wouldn't.
Owning, what?
I wouldn't.
Me neither.
Yeah.
The owning may be most affordable. The owning may be most affordable in most of the country. The report depicts the sharp divide between the best options in urban and rural areas. Ownership is the best affordable in rural and less populous areas, while renting makes more sense for those in major metro areas, like us here in Miami. The trend is slowly shifting towards renters, though, which could be a major force in easing price increases in 2022? I don't think so. I don't think it eases prices because you're going to have, if it's going to renting, you're just bringing in these other guys that are going to buy everything up, disrupt it, own it, and rent it.
Yep.
So, and then they have, if they're owning 1,000 units in that area, they have the ability to mark the market for where a rental should be. And then also, take in consideration of how much the market is providing for income. Prices could only go up by much more before renting becomes financially easier. However, home ownership still remains the more affordable option for an average workers in a majority of the country, but it still takes up smaller portion of their pay. In 21 of the most 25 populous counties in the country, renting holds the affordability advantage. That's also true in 35 of the 42 counties with at least 1 million residents. So it's saying if you live in a county with 1 million residents, renting holds affordability advantage. So you'd have to live in somewhere where your population is less than 1 million. Renting is also the more affordable option in counties with at least 500,000, but fewer than 1 million. So that Collin County, Texas, outside of Dallas, Westchester County, New York, are among the 63% of counties in the population range to have superior renting affordability. The tide turns towards home ownership in counties with fewer than 500,000 people. Home ownership is more affordable than renting in 61% of these counties with 500,000 fewer people, according to the report. Prominent exceptions include Morris County, New Jersey, Richmond County, New York, home of Staten Island. Prices on 3-bedroom homes increased more than prices on 3-bedroom apartments in 88% of counties from January to November 2021. That's a great data point right there. That would show you that maybe when you're building multifamily, you maybe just look at 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms, because it says prices on 3-bedroom homes increased more than prices on 3-bedroom apartments in 88% of counties from January to November 2021, according to the report. Los Angeles County, California, and Cook County, Illinois, are among the markets to see faster growth in home prices. That's really interesting. That there's more of a demand once your family grows. That's when people are saying, "Hey." It makes it makes complete sense, right?
Yeah.
You go to college, you have a studio apartment, or you live in a house with a bunch of guys, right? And then you graduate, you get your first job, you get your little apartment, and you date, you meet somebody, you guys share an apartment, maybe you get a dog, or you have a kid. And you have a 2-bedroom apartment, and you start looking around going, I would like a little more room for a little Scotty to play soccer in the backyard, or Stephanie needs to swim in her pool. And then you move out to suburbia where now you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you have a bedroom for one child. Maybe you have another child, or maybe you make the 3rd bedroom into an office. And you start working remotely, and your business never sees you at the office again, and they reposition for multifamily.
Like you said, it just makes complete sense. It's kind of like the more logistical, kind of thing, right? Like you said, it's just kind of the order it happens. But I find it pretty interesting that in places where the population is pretty low, it's like at that point, you just buy a house.
Because that's what it says.
Yeah,
that's what the data.
Yeah.
Points to.
So I think that's pretty. I just find that whole thing pretty interesting. But I'm curious now, in Miami, I'm talking about South Florida, right? If yeah, right. If that trend still follows, is it better now if you're going to, let's say, Naples, right, to buy a home in Naples, or is it better to rent over there?
A lot of construction going on in Naples, man. A lot of Class A multifamily. They're getting low 4%, 4.25% cap rates on that Class A multifamily over there. Don't slip on Naples. we just did some work over there, and they also have the houses. It's a lot of people go to Naples to retire because the golf is good and the community is quiet, but they do have the land going east because the water is west, kind of opposite of
Miami,
right? So, but going west, they have the land, and they have the land to build those cool, like I was kind of pointing at, suburban multifamily where you got 2-3 levels, but they give you everything: the car wash, the dog parks. Like, you go in there, and it's a nice, multifamily community, gated community, security. So if you don't want to, have to mow your lawn or take care of the extra expenses for a house, if you're an empty nester or whatever, it depends on what age you're at. Yeah, man, Naples is, but I mean, I don't know the population of over there.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, does that fall into that under 500,000? I doubt it. I don't know, man. That's a good question. Maybe we'll look it up later just to see the population of Naples, Florida. What else? You got any articles? We out of here? It's Thursday. We've been going on for a good 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
About no, I mean, I've got everything that I wanted to talk about.
Did you find any list?
Yeah. So I was gonna mention that the number one developer in South Florida right now for commercial real estate developer is
That's off the South Florida Business Journal, right?
Yes, this is from the South Florida Business Journal, and it's Styles. So it is. I believe they're.
So read what's the title of the list that you're looking at, so people know.
Right. So the title of the list is Commercial Real Estate Developers in South Florida, ranked by new square foot developed in South Florida in 2020.
In 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 2021 numbers haven't come out yet because I think they're still accumulating all of it and organizing. Okay. So this is just of the previous year of 2020. And the number one is Styles at brand new square footage developed in South Florida of 2020 at 1.78 mil. And they completed 6 projects. And that included industrial, office, multifamily, retail, residential, and the land as well. And I'm just going to go through like the top 3. Butters. I
was going to say, Butters is industrial.
Yeah, Butters Construction and Development.
He works hand in hand with FIU. He gives out a scholarship for FIU every year for their grad level for the real estate.
Nice.
Yeah. Butters, he's a very nice guy.
Butters, if you want to contact me, find me on LinkedIn.
You got to go to Florida International, man, for grad school.
So that's new square foot developed is 1.5 million. And they completed 8 projects. So industrial, office, land, hotel, and resorts. And then
I was going to say, who's the last? Or how many are in your list?
How many here? There are 10. So the last one would be, well, let me go to the top 3. The number 3 is Bridge International, which is at 1.1 million. They completed 1 residential real estate project. They just completed 1 project. And that was an industrial. The last one is FP Dino at 110,000 square foot.
And they built what?
1 project, and that was office.
That's interesting, right? Styles built everything.
Mm-hmm.
Butters is concentrated on industrial. Then you had industrial for the second one, third one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last guy in the list, number 10, he builds, what'd you say? Office.
Office. He built an office for 110,000 square foot.
Would it say where or no?
No, it just says the headquarters of the location.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right, man. Awesome. So there we have it. Another successful day.
Successful week.
Value. My co-host Christian Lalong. I'm David Magard, bringing you some commercial real estate news in South Florida. Everyone have a lovely day on January 13th. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.